here's the plan. A couple of years ago, we built this model here. This is a model of Fastnet Lighthouse. Fastnet Lighthouse is probably the most famous lighthouse in Ireland and one of the most famous lighthouses in the world. It's colloquially known as Ireland's Teardrop, because as the people of Ireland would emigrate from Ireland, Fastnet was the last thing they would see, the last part of home that they'd ever see. The gorgeous lighthouse based off West Cork. But there were a couple of issues that we had with this model. So the way that this model was put together, you could take off the beacon like this. This is the first prototype that I built of the model. This one here, I made this one from PLA. It was literally to see how it would print and what it would look like. And I tried this stone effect on the first one, which, to be fair, I wasn't too fond of. But I made it so the beacon was removable like this. You could put the motor into the beacon and then you could take the top off. Actually, the top would remove like that. And that would allow you to get to the LED. And then the beacon itself had a cylinder like this with a couple of slots cut out of it. And the cylinder was spun by the motor. Inside that cylinder, I had a filament LED, this one here. And that would sit down in through the drum like that. And then as the drum would spin, it'd cover the LED. And then it would expose the LED like that. And the light would flash. In the last episode, we learned a few really valuable lessons. We built the interchangeable beacons, which are a really cool addition. I'm really glad that I came up with these. I'd like to build Fastnet, this new model, with some of the lessons that we learned from the last model. So the interchangeable beacons for one, so we can put in whatever beacon we like. It can be very powerful like this one, or it can be just a normal LED. So you can choose which beacon that you'd like to put in. And I'm glad I did that, because when I built the really powerful beacon for Seamus's lighthouse, it actually ended up being too powerful, and I was worried that it might disturb the neighbours. So I'm going to take the lessons that we learned, the interchangeable beacon. You can see what we did in the model Fastnet. We used the button that was soldered onto the solar circuit as the button for the model, and then put a cover over the button to keep it dry, and then made it as watertight as we could. But in the last series, what we did was we desoldered that button off and we replaced it with waterproof buttons. That was a really good idea. So we're going to use those ideas, and then we're going to use the same idea as Seamus's lighthouse, where the entire top of the beacon is sealed and then it screws onto the tower itself. So we're going to take the lessons that we learned, we're going to apply it to this model. And also the little lesson that we learned with the circuit. So this is what I was talking about. This here is a solar circuit. So you can see, took the button off, and then we put on the waterproof buttons. And then we built a small circuit off board, so that basically the power of the LED in the beacon was so much that if we powered the beacon and the motor just through this solar circuit, it'd basically fry the circuit. So we built an off-board circuit, which basically means that the lighthouse itself is powered directly from the battery instead of from the solar circuit. So we're going to take these lessons, we're going to build in the waterproof button. I'm not going to put the electronics into the solar panel like we did before. I'm actually going to try to put it into the base of the model and then make the model so it screws apart, and then we can put on the interchangeable beacon. And what that'll mean is, instead of the drum covering the LED filament and exposing it and giving the simulation of a spinning beacon, it will actually be a spinning, flashing beacon. And then on top of that, we can use the trick we learned with the UV resin to seal the beacon so that it's much more weatherproof. Because as I'll show you, the model Fastnet is beautiful. I'm very proud of it, but it was leaving water in just up here and just there. So what it meant was you'd have a build-up of water condensation on the inside of the glazing, and that's not ideal. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the lessons that we learned, we're going to apply them to a brand new model, and then over the next few episodes we're going to build it piece by piece together. So that's the plan. Let's get to it.